Good morning, you wonderful people. Welcome back to another video. It's Stephen here on Monday, the 19th of August at 20 past 11 in the UK. And we're here to talk about Manchester City Football Club winning a Premier League game. The 4 times in a row Premier League champions have started their potential 5th in a row campaign with 3 delightful points. And it's really nice. It's lovely. Ashwin just said, morning, love reading your news articles on MSN. I didn't even know they got there, mate. Is that the Esteemed Company ones? Did they get over there? That is definitely not my doing, so that's good to know. Ashwin, if you can DM me what you've seen, that would be great to know. Thank you so much. But anyway, if you are joining live, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. It is massively appreciated. This is 5 things that we learned from yesterday. I'm going to talk about the things that jumped off the page for me. It's a positive video today because I think there's lots of reasons to be positive. I was going to talk about some other things that maybe weren't quite as positive, but do you know what? At this stage of the season, save it for another day. Let's just enjoy yesterday's game and what it could mean looking forward. Give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm really enjoying creating content on the channel at the moment. I feel like the energy's good. The videos feel more creative. They feel more alive. And you guys have been really supporting. So thank you very much. And also, look at this, man. New Rodri t-shirt. It turned up. I ordered this ages ago. It finally turned up. You can get one over on the link on my website, on my YouTube page. You can see him if you like this Rodri t-shirt. I like it. I mean, it's beautiful. I went for the coral colour. I thought it'd go nicely. It's lovely, isn't it? Big fan of that. My own merch there. Anyway. This video is sponsored by the wonderful people over at Football Prizes. You've got until tomorrow to enter. If you want to go to Manchester City's first game of the season against Ipswich, sat in hospitality, head over to Football Prizes, click the link in the description right now and get involved. It costs a tenner, £9.95 to enter, but there's only 65 tickets. And there is only 47 places left, which is Phil Foden's number there, actually. Maybe that's a sign. Get involved now. Click the link in the description and go and enter. It's a small punt, but the only 18 tickets have gone so far. You've got a very good chance of winning if you want hospitality tickets to City's first game of the season. At home at the Etihad, a full crowd, welcoming back the champions. It could be wonderful. So go and do that. Go and enter, and fingers crossed one of you guys will win. It's good stuff. I'd love it if you did. So let's go with the first thing I want to talk about today. Rico Lewis is going to be a star. Now, I'll be honest with you. After Oscar Bob's injury, I was a little bit down on my excitement for the season. But it's very quickly dawned on me that we should be as excited about Rico Lewis as we were about Oscar Bob. We all felt Oscar Bob was going to have his breakthrough season, but I don't think we quite realised just how close Rico Lewis was to that moment as well. He's been around the squad for a while now, and it's felt for an awful long time that maybe he was going to be deemed a backup or a rotation player for some time. But it's very obvious already, based on preseason, the Community Shield, and yesterday, that this is Rico Lewis's moment to shine and make a name for himself. The football intelligence on display yesterday from Rico Lewis is literally giving me goosebumps as I think about it. This is what Rico Lewis's performance in football does to me. It gets me so giddy, man. It really does. Rico is an absolute star in the making. And I've always been very honest about his maybe physical disadvantage. And it's not just me saying that. Guardiola's brought it up an awful lot too. He brought it up yesterday when he was praising him. But all we can do is judge the performance as what it is against Chelsea, against United, with the context. And it's very exciting to watch Rico Lewis's development. This could be the season where Rico Lewis establishes himself as a regular starter for Manchester City Football Club. He's played an awful lot of games, started an awful lot of games, but it's always felt like he's behind Walker, behind Akanji when it mattered. But I've got a feeling this could genuinely be the season. Guardiola was absolutely effusive in his praise for Rico Lewis yesterday. He was purring with joy. He was purring with glee when he talked about him. And honestly, I am giddy. I am giddy thinking about it. When you read these quotes right here, and I'll bring them up on screen right now, Guardiola said, we judge Rico because he's small, but he saved a goal because he's always in position. 1 against 1 defensively. He's unbelievable. In the pockets, he moves like few players I've seen in my life. He does everything good. Honestly, Rico is a top player. Wonderful stuff. And then there was another quote as well where Guardiola said, he said, last season when Rico Lewis did not play a lot of games, I said to myself, why didn't I make him play? Absolutely, Pep Guardiola. But I do think he's gone up a level. I do think he's even better. I do think his maturity has reached newfound levels of brilliance. And physically, he looks a little bit stronger. He's not bigger, but he looks a little bit more used to senior football maybe. And you cannot deny that tenacity that he's got. He's got the same energy and relentlessness as Bernardo Silva, and that is a high compliment. And I've always felt, if you're not going to be the biggest, and he isn't, he's a little bit smaller than Foden, Bernardo, he's like 5'5", so there is a physicality issue there. The only way you're going to reach the elite level is if you are a genius in different areas. And Rico Lewis isn't just a genius in one area, he's a genius in 2 or 3. Rico Lewis, his game understanding is ridiculous. And when people talk about football IQ, what they mean is their problem solving, their spatial awareness, their decision making, all these things. Rico Lewis always makes the right decision. He knows exactly when to go forward, exactly who to pass to, exactly when to drop deep, exactly when to commit himself. His spatial awareness is excellent. He's never caught on the ball. He's always aware when people are around him. His link-up play with his teammates, he knows exactly when to pass the ball in front of them or to their feet. He knows exactly when to give and go. His understanding of the game state is absolutely absurd, and he finds pockets of space that others don't just because he reads the game so well. He's wonderful. And then you look at his technical ability as well. he doesn't lose the ball in tight spaces. He's so strong. He's so determined. His physicality when he's actually got the ball is really impressive, actually. But it's his desire that makes him stand out. He's excellent touch, excellent technique. He doesn't leave the ball. He's such a superstar. And there was the amount of times yesterday when I thought he was going to be done by Nkunku, but he wasn't. He stood him up perfectly time and time again. His positional sense is absolutely excellent. And as good as Kyle Walker is, and I don't want to drag a player down for the sake of picking someone else up, but a few times last season where Kyle Walker switched off at the back post and there was goals conceded, Rico Lewis can only be where he needs to be to do his job. And he was yesterday. So impressive. I really think this could be the season where Rico Lewis becomes the star that we know he could be and establishes himself as a potential first-team starter at right back. Kyle Walker's 34 years old now. He's not getting any younger. He feels that the natural transition is for Rico Lewis, a genius footballer, a genuine genius, and he'll get better and better and better. Some of the stuff yesterday reminded me of what Verratti would do when the ball went over his head. It was Xavi-esque. Ridiculous stuff. A special footballer. And I really do believe come the end of the season, Oscar Bob will establish himself as well. I think he will carry on that momentum when he gets back. And we'll count Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis. Essentially, there's almost like 2 new first-team signings. They'll be that good. I'm so excited for Rico Lewis. What a player. Second thing I want to talk about is Savino. Look, he's had 2 appearances. He had a run out of the Community Shield, and he's had half a game of football here at Chelsea. Look, I don't really believe in reincarnation, but you can't deny that Savino has got more than a little bit about Riyad Mahrez to him. It's such an exciting 45 minutes yesterday against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He's got no right to be that confident and that determined and that skillful on his first debut, his first Premier League game away from home at Chelsea. Stamford Bridge, regardless of the state Chelsea are in, will always be a tough place to go to. There's a history to that ground. There's an expectation from those fans. There's an ugliness to how Chelsea can play at home. They were physical, they were aggressive. But Savino stood up to Chelsea yesterday and he was so brave. And Cucurella, off the back of a very good Euros, was absolutely trembling, to use the word, facing Savino. He'd beat him time and time again. Nobody completed more dribbles or created more chances in the time that Savino was on the pitch than he did. 3 and 3. He completed more dribbles than Chelsea did yesterday entirely. Absolutely ridiculously good from this very, very exciting player. And it does feel like we've got a superstar here. He's slightly different. He's slightly different than Riyad, I would argue. A little bit more direct, potentially a little bit more aggressive of a dribbler. Not maybe as quite as silky as Riyad Mahrez, but he's also a lot younger. Watch how he develops over time. But the early signs are very encouraging here. We've got a guy who's absolutely fearless and clearly got that Yoga Benito, that brilliant Brazilian flair and enjoyment of football. He is going to cause problems this season. We've got ourselves a superstar in the making. The third thing I want to talk about is Bernardo. Could be the answer. The question is, do we have in this squad a Rodri backup? And I think Kovacic, Bernardo, look, it's not going to be the number one choice for me. It's always going to be Rodri with Kovacic or Bernardo. Rodri and Kovacic maybe will be the choice. But I do feel like we've been hunting around for an alternative because apparently we can't win without Rodri. We can win without Rodri. We absolutely can. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy that. It's one of those things where it's not possible to win with him. It is clearly possible to win without Rodri. It's just we have to be uh, we've got to be like realistic about what we can expect from these players, And I do feel with Kovacic and Bernardo, you blend that perfect mixture of sort of like experience and technical ability and work rate. And to me, it's more than good enough for most of the teams in the league. Like, I do want us to sign a Rodri backup. Absolutely. I feel like we should go out and splash and cast and get a guy who can play 6 and 8. But I've never really been sold on the idea that we haven't got enough or we can't make it work with the squad that we've got. I didn't buy it. I feel like we just didn't work on it hard enough. But maybe now it's just the case that Bernardo can play central more because we've got more wingers. Maybe now it's the case that Kovacic as well has played more football and absolutely gets it. Because I think Kovacic is going to go up a level, by the way. Kovacic, this is my early prediction. And I was going to do as one of the 5 things I learned was about Kovacic, but I thought I'd talk about Bernardo instead. Kovacic, by the end of this season, will be seen as one of the best midfielders in the league. What I mean by that is by the masses. I think he already is. But I think publicly, people will talk about him as one of the best in the league. I think he's going to go up another level. And when you consider that, we'll have Rodri as well and Bernardo more central, it really bodes well for the season. Next week at Ipswich, I expect Bernardo and Kovacic once again to be the pair. And it should be enough. We do not have to play Rodri in every single game. He is the best in the world, Rodri. But we can't play him 70 games. At home to Ipswich, against teams like West Ham, Kovacic and Bernardo absolutely should be enough. It really should be, because they would start for all these teams, and we know it. Guys, 130 people watching. Can we get the likes up? It would be massively appreciated. And once again, if you don't mind, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's more than appreciated. It does help this channel grow. A lifelong City fan. I'd love you if you don't mind. But yeah, Kovacic and Bernardo, look, I was so impressed with the pair of them yesterday. Both tenacious, both worked really hard. It isn't perfect, no, but it's definitely better than basically... Look, there's maybe 1 or 2 midfields in the league that's better than that. That is the truth of it. It should be enough. When you add De Bruyne or Foden to that, that's a top-class midfield. It's a top-4 midfield, and we have to be honest about what we can achieve, with these two there. We do not need Rodri always. I maintain it. We can make it work. Haaland looks fired up. It felt like I was the only one excited by Haaland's goal yesterday at times. I think Haaland has sort of normalised exceptional finishing and goals to the extent where no one really gave Haaland the credit for his goal that I felt he deserved. That goal is absolutely brilliant. Go and watch that goal back after this video. And maybe while I'm talking right now, go and find it on Twitter, search it or whatever, and watch it as I'm talking. And you'll realise just how good that goal is. It's so much better than people are pretending it is. For some reason, the narrative around it is really quiet. But when you watch that goal, there's a lot of intelligence, a lot of hunger, and a lot of ability at playing that. So he made a point yesterday after the game to say that he intentionally went towards the goal and he intentionally dribbled because... He remembered last season when Robert Sanchez stayed on his line and saved a shot, which he took early, and it frustrated him. He said it irritated him because he probably should have took more touches and drawn him out. So yesterday when he got the ball, instead of shooting early, he took a touch, he burst towards goal, and he went at Sanchez knowing he could stay on his line for a last-minute dinking over that. But he wasn't that impressed with me. There was elements of Didier Drogba. It felt familiar. It felt like Stamford Bridge had seen that before. And even though Haaland is 10 times an actual goal scorer Drogba is, and he is, I'm sorry, the stats show, I think Drogba beat 20 goals once in his life at Chelsea. Drogba definitely would have a lot to teach Haaland. As much as Haaland is a much better goal scorer, Drogba every now and then, in a big game in particular, would turn on this physical, monstrous side to him that would make him an absolute battering ram. And if you look at that goal yesterday, Haaland takes a touch, he drives forward, and just as someone's coming in, he drags it to the other foot, takes it wide, brushes off the defender and dinks it over the keeper. It's a really smart goal. Dare I say it, it reminded me a little bit of the bustliness of Ruud van Nistelrooy as well when he was at United. It's a proper number 9 goal, that. There's not many number 9s in the world who can score that because it takes insane confidence, it takes a lot of physicality, it takes power, and it takes composure. It's a really good goal. When you look at his start in pre-season as well, Haaland, I've got a feeling Haaland is going to have a season like his first season in terms of goal scoring. I feel like last season he was sort of haunted a little bit by the expectations of his first year. It was very much hard for a lot of players last year after the treble. Like, where'd you go from there? But he spent an awful lot of time sat at home thinking about where he is in his career right now, you know, and being ready for the season, watching the Euros. And you can tell Haaland is absolutely fired up. I've got a feeling he's going to go up another level because that goal yesterday, look, people go on about, oh, he only had 3 or 4 touches or whatever. Haaland's a goal scorer. Haaland is... You don't have to worry about Haaland at all. That man motivates himself. That man is absolutely in a battle against himself and no one else. That quote about Robert Sanchez shows you all you need to know about Haaland. Don't worry about him. Put him on the pitch and he will score goals if you give him the ball and feed him. It's as simple as that. That was a brilliant goal from a brilliant number 9. And finally, I want to talk about Ruben Diaz. I thought Ruben Diaz yesterday showed signs of his monstrous best. I think it's fair to say Ruben Diaz was a little bit lower by his standards last season. A few of them were. Quite a lot of the team were. Even though we won the league, it wasn't quite the peak of the year before. Once again, I feel like it was the morning after the night before last season. Like the peak of the treble, there was always going to be a bit of a dip because you can't really follow that. Yet we still won the league anyway. But it still felt like some players weren't the 10 out of 10 they were the season before. They were more 7 or 8. And I think Diaz was one of them last year. Ruben Diaz yesterday was absolutely excellent. This was a masterclass in composure, reading of the game, knowing exactly when to commit himself, knowing exactly when to stand a defender up. And it had that classic Ruben Diaz blocking masterclass where he slides in front of someone, his arms behind his back, he gets a big foot in, and he was absolutely perfect yesterday. Ruben Diaz. He was marshalling that back line in a way that only Ruben Diaz can. And I think a Ruben Diaz masterclass of a season puts Manchester City in a place where you can be confident that they could reclaim the title. Claim the title again. Ruben Diaz is such a big part of Manchester City at their very best, in my humble opinion. There's not many great natural defenders in world football. There is, actually. I feel like Ruben Diaz has always been a bit of a throwback to me. Once again, at Stamford Bridge, there were shades of John Terry. And I've always felt that Ruben Diaz has more than a bit of John Terry to his game. That incredible reading of the... Thankfully, he's a nicer person than John Terry. But he's always had a little bit of that. And yesterday, the signs were really, really, really encouraging. A quality footballer. And one that this season, I feel... he's got to go up again and find the level that we know he can be. An excellent player. So they're the 5 things I took from this anyway. Rico is going to be a star. I've got no doubts whatsoever. It's going to be his season. Savino looks like a Mahrez regen. We are so lucky. Kovacic and Bernardo could be the answer in midfield. And Haaland looks fired up for this season. And monstrous Diaz is back. Guys, thanks for watching this video. The Rodri t-shirt, if you want to check it out. It helps support the channel a little bit. Give the video a like and subscribe. Check out my match reaction from yesterday. And, of course, the fan view live. Thank you so much for the support on the channel at the moment. I might go later to talk about something else. I don't know. For now, though, give the video a like. Subscribe if you're new. Up the Blues. Football is back, and I'm absolutely loving it. Bye-bye.